Chosen one, this news about you is hitting them like a sudden collapse they never prepared for, because they built their position on lies and now the truth is breathing in daylight. Stories are lining up. Witnesses are comparing notes. What was once whispered behind closed doors has become undeniable fact. There is no pivot left, no clever angle, no spin that preserves their image. Exposure always carries consequence, and consequence always demands correction. You are not late, you are precisely on time, clear, and intact. While they were performing, you were healing. While they were manipulating perception, you were doing the internal work that rewires a soul from the inside out, and now that inner transformation is about to become visible in ways no one can dismiss or dilute. You are about to be recognized publicly, unmistakably for something significant, something that places you before people who matter, people with real power, real platforms, real authority to open doors you never even knew existed. There is something about you that cannot be duplicated. This Salvatore tried. They watched you closely, studied your rhythm, mirrored your language, mimicked your spiritual posture, borrowed your mannerisms, hoping proximity would give them access. But it never quite worked because what you carry isn't a method, a trend, or a technique. It isn't something you picked up from a book or learned in a course. It's a frequency, a lived vibration forged by walking through fire and choosing refinement over resentment, evolution over bitterness. It's the kind of gold that only reveals itself when everything false has burned away. You carry something rare, something ancient and precious, and people feel it even when they can't explain it. That's why strangers trust you. That's why people tell you things they've never spoken aloud. That's why opportunities seem to find you in the most unlikely moments. You are operating on a wavelength most people can't consciously perceive, yet everyone can sense. And someone is watching someone who knows exactly what they're seeing. Someone with real influence, real authority, real reach in an industry you once only imagined from a distance. This person has seen thousands try to fake what flows through you naturally. They've watched performers manufacture presence, charisma, and depth, and they know instantly when it's real. Their foundation is so solid that when they move, entire industries shift. When they decide, doors don't just open, walls dissolve. Paths appear where none existed before. And you are about to be chosen because you didn't just succeed, you broke something. Pattern embedded in your bloodline. A cycle of pain passed down so long it was mistaken for fate. Your grandmother carried it. Your mother carried it. Maybe generations before them did too. This quiet gravity that kept people small, wounded, and restrained. And you stood in front of it and said, "Not me. Not anymore. This ends here." Do you understand how rare that is? Most people see the pattern. Most people recognize the cycle, but they decide it's too old to change, too deep to uproot, too heavy to confront. So they accommodate it. They explain it away. They hand it down with apologies and excuses, calling it tradition. You didn't. You chose healing not just for yourself, but for everyone who came before you without the tools, and everyone who comes after you who will never have to carry that weight. That kind of healing does not go unnoticed, not by the universe, not by the spiritual realm, not by those who are trained to recognize real transformation. It shifts the atmosphere. It changes timelines, creates openings where none existed. That shift is what's creating this opportunity. That private work, those unseen battles, the moments you chose growth when staying broken would have been easier, that is what's about to be rewarded in public. And your saboteur knows it. They don't want that story told. They don't want the world to see what you survived, how you transmuted pain into power. Because the moment your truth is visible, their performance collapses, and they know it. Let me tell you about the one who's been working quietly against you, the one everyone else sees as harmless, quirky, spiritually evolved, endlessly healing, the free spirit, the gentle soul, the unconventional but well-meaning wanderer. That image, it's deliberate. Every detail is curate. The whimsy is calculated. The spiritual language is tactical. The wounded healer persona is a costume designed to disarm people, because when someone looks harmless, no one watches their hands. They studied you closely. They observed how your authenticity softened people, how your vulnerability created real connection, how your spiritual discipline grounded you instead of inflating you. And then they built a counterfeit version of it all. For a while, it worked. They convinced people they changed, announced personal awakenings, spoke about devotion and renunciation, and claimed they were turning away from old behaviors to pursue higher purpose. But it was never transformation, it was strategy. Those stories were told to the exact people who would be moved by them, because they needed backing, money, protection, influence. Your own family was fed a narrative that this person was now the enlightened one, the healed one, the one doing the work, while you were framed as bitter, unstable, unwilling to let go, making everything about yourself. And some people believed it. People who should have questioned it didn't. People who should have protected you accepted the performance at face value. And this is the part that cuts the deepest, because enemies are one thing, strangers are manageable, but betrayal from family lands differently. The funding is real. The legal obstacles, the bureaucratic traps, the strange delays and manufactured complications in your path, those aren't random. Someone is paying for them. Family members with money, with reach, with leverage chose to support the story because the one in the mask knows how to narrate suffering. They know how to frame themselves as the victim, how to turn your truth into attacks, how to weaponize other people's desire to help. They sold a version of events where you were the threat, the jealous one, the destroyer, and they sold it convincingly enough that checkbooks opened and lawyers got involved. Not to erase you outright, no, the plan is more subtle. It's to exhaust you, to drain your time, your resources, and your energy so that when you finally reach your destiny, you're too depleted to step fully into it. But here's the reversal they didn't account for. Every obstacle is sharpening you. Every legal maneuver is teaching you how the system actually works. Every delay is giving you time to fortify, to prepare, to mature into the version of yourself that can't be sidelined. They think they're weakening you. In reality, they're training you. And behind closed doors, the mask is cracking. The one who pretended to be enlightened is unraveling real panic, real fear, because they can feel the pressure building. They're contradicting themselves now, losing track of which story they told to whom, blending timelines that no longer align. People are noticing. Someone asked them a simple, innocent question recently, nothing threatening, nothing aggressive, and they froze. You could see it in their eyes. That flash of calculation, that scramble to remember which lie fits this audience, that moment where the script slipped. They fumbled badly. The person who asked didn't confront them right then, but don't be mistaken. That moment was logged. And once people start noticing inconsistencies, the collapse doesn't come with noise. It comes quietly, all at once. They went home uneasy, replaying conversations in their mind, hearing familiar words with unfamiliar weight, noticing patterns they'd somehow missed before, wondering what else doesn't quite add up. Because here's the thing about lies, you need a flawless memory to sustain them. You have to remember every detail you fabricated and keep it consistent across every conversation, with every person, forever. And this person has been performing for so long, telling so many versions of the story to so many different audiences, that the structure is collapsing under its own weight. The family member who wrote the largest check is no longer satisfied with reassurance and vibes. They're asking for documentation now, for timelines, for proof, for meetings with lawyers present. And that's when the sweat starts, because once people stop trusting stories and start verifying facts, the entire operation unravels. At the same time, something else is happening quietly but powerfully. The people who were warned about you, who were fed distorted versions of who you are beginning to encounter you directly through mutual connections, at events, in passing moments that feel accidental but aren't. And they're discovering you don't match the narrative at all. You're not bitter. You're not stuck. You're not spiraling or obsessed. You're calm, grounded, thriving, clearly doing the real inner work this saboteur only pretended to do. And that creates cognitive dissonance, a crack in perception, because now they're forced to reconcile two competing realities. The story they were sold versus the truth standing right in front of them. And when that contradiction appears, questions follow. People begin comparing notes. That's the beginning of the end. When the manipulated start talking to each other, sharing what they were told, realizing each of them received a different version of the same events, the truth starts stepping out of the shadows. One says, "That's strange, I was told something else." Another realizes the timelines don't match. A third notices key details were conveniently changed. And suddenly everyone is looking around, asking the one question no liar can survive: who's telling the truth? And you're not even part of these conversations yet. You're elsewhere, living your life, building quietly, preparing for what's next. Because there is a moment coming, public moment, a spotlight you didn't chase but absolutely earned. It may arrive through a legal proceeding, a formal investigation, a media exposure, or something entirely unexpected, but it will be visible, official, and undeniable. And in that moment, the truth won't just surface, it will be recorded, documented, locked into reality in a way that can't be spun, rewritten, or erased later. This is going to vindicate you in ways you didn't even realize you were still aching for, because you've been fighting this alone for so long. You tried to explain and were dismissed. You pointed out patterns and were told you were imagining things. You spoke truth and watched people choose the lie. But when this moment arrives, you won't have to explain anything anymore. You won't need to persuade, defend, or prove yourself. The truth will speak for itself clearly, loudly, without mercy. And the one who worked against you will be exposed, not because you chased exposure, but because lies always reveal their author. Performances always collapse. People will be stunned. Believers will feel foolish. Family members who funded the deception will be horrified. And the saboteur will finally meet something they've never faced before: real accountability, real consequences, real public reckoning for private schemes they thought would stay buried forever. But here's what's going to hit different. It's not just that they lied, chosen one. It's the kind of lies they chose. They claimed spiritual transformation while secretly scheming in the dark. They spoke about healing while actively harming. They preached forgiveness while planning revenge. They performed enlightenment while practicing deception with precision. And when this comes to light, the hypocrisy won't just be obvious, it will be staggering. Because people can sometimes forgive being misled, but being misled by someone who positioned themselves as spiritually superior, someone who acted like they were walking a higher path, someone who subtly made others feel less evolved for not being as healed as them, that kind of betrayal cuts deeper. That's not just deception. That feels like a violation on a soul level. You remember the way they spoke, don't you? The casual spiritual terms sprinkled into conversation like perfume, the references to their practices, their journey, their connection to the divine, the way they carried themselves as if they had transcended the petty concerns of ordinary people, beyond ego, beyond drama, beyond conflict, and yet behind the scenes, they were orchestrating the most ego-driven, drama-soaked sabotage campaign imaginable, paying lawyers to create obstacles, manipulating family members into funding attacks, smiling in the light while moving in the shadows. The contrast between what they preached and what they practiced is going to look grotesque when it's laid out publicly, step by step, in a space where it can't be reframed. And the damage goes deeper than people feeling fooled. Think about how many individuals second-guessed themselves because of what was said about you. How many people questioned their own perception because you were painted as the problem. How many doubted their intuition because this person seemed so convincing, so centered, so spiritually polished. Some of them felt it something off, something not clean, but they couldn't fully name it. They noticed inconsistencies, but they gave the benefit of the doubt because they wanted to believe the best in someone who sounded enlightened. And now they're realizing their first instinct was right. That quiet internal alarm, the one they dismissed because the mask looked so righteous, was accurate all along. And that realization changes people. It makes them trust themselves more. It makes them sharper. It makes them less willing to ignore red flags in the future. It turns them into witnesses with discernment, and witnesses with discernment don't just walk away quietly. They become motivated to be on the right side of truth, this time to support authenticity instead of performance, to invest in character instead of charisma. So when the truth breaks open, something unexpected happens. People start moving toward you. The energy shifts. People who barely knew you will become advocates. Family members who stayed neutral will become vocal supporters. Even those who funded the attacks will feel the weight of what they participated in, and they'll try to redirect that energy into making it right. Not because you asked, not because you manipulated, but because they'll need to reconcile it in their own hearts. That's what real conviction does. It doesn't just expose the liar. It awakens the bystanders, and you already know the attacks were never random. You've felt the resistance wasn't ordinary. You've sensed the timing of the obstacles, the coordinated pressure, and the convenient delays. If you're paying attention, you can feel it now, the walls closing in on them. Their story is breaking apart. Their audience is waking up. Their support is demanding proof instead of poetry. And this is exactly where it gets strategic, because now it's not just about what's happening to them, it's about what you do next. That's why I built Destiny Engine. Because betrayal doesn't have to be the thing that scars you, it can be the thing that upgrades you. Destiny Engine generates personalized sequences designed to rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and convert their sabotage into fuel for your rise. We're taking the Dark Elite's own weaponry, their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition, scarcity, and division, and repurposing it into cooperative intelligence that serves your destiny. And here's the beauty. You don't have to fight. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to prove anything. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious begins rewiring while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it from the beginning, so everything they tried to use to break you becomes propulsion for your purpose. The collective upgrade is already underway. Start your destiny engine for $1 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description, because this is where it gets interesting. Chosen One, you didn't just survive sabotage. You're about to benefit from the backlash. When people finally realize they were lied to about someone, especially when that someone is clearly thriving despite the deception, they don't just correct their opinion. They overcorrect. Support doesn't return gently, it swings back with force. Like a pendulum that was pushed hard by lies, it now rushes just as powerfully toward truth. And you are about to feel that momentum. Doors that were sealed are going to fly open. Opportunities that were blocked are going to return multiplied. Resources that were withheld are going to pour in faster than you can organize them. And it won't stop at personal circles, because the damage wasn't confined there. The narrative about you was carried into professional spaces too, whispered into rooms you were never invited into, shared with decision makers who never checked the source. You were labeled unreliable, difficult, problematic. Wells were poisoned that you didn't even know existed. A reputation was manufactured out of fiction, and people acted on it. Now, every one of those people is going to reassess. Every decision made based on hearsay is going to be revisited. Every opportunity you were quietly passed over for is going to be reconsidered with fresh eyes. And some of them are going to feel a deep, uncomfortable regret. They'll realize they judged you unfairly. They'll recognize they participated knowingly or not in professional slander. And when people in power want to make amends, it doesn't come in words alone. It comes as opportunities, introductions, contracts, platforms, access. You'll receive emails from people you've never met apologizing for believing rumors. Invitations will arrive to spaces you were once excluded from. You'll be offered chances to step into arenas where you were dismissed before you ever had the chance to speak. Your professional redemption will be as visible as the betrayal was hidden. And the one who orchestrated it all will have to watch. They'll see their lies collapse in real time. They'll witness the exact opposite of what they intended unfold in front of them. Every seed they planted to stop you will grow into something that elevates you instead. Imagine the psychology of that: pouring time, energy, strategy, manipulation, and late night plotting into keeping someone down, only to watch every effort accelerate their rise. Watching the person you targeted not just survive, but thrive. Not just recover, but transform. Not just continue, but expand. That's not just defeat, it's being forced to confront your own failure again and again. Daily evidence that your judgment was wrong, your strategy flawed, your understanding inverted. And the most devastating part? They can't blame you. You didn't retaliate. You didn't engage. You didn't mirror their behavior. You stayed focused on healing, on growth, on preparation, on forward movement. You let the universe handle justice while you handled the work. And now the results speak without effort. The news about you won't just hit them once, it will linger. Your name will surface in rooms they wanted access to. Your work will appear on platforms they tried to reach. Your voice will be amplified by people they tried to impress. Every notification will remind them of what failed. They'll watch you speak about your journey without ever naming them. They'll see you inspire others who survived similar sabotage. And they'll know deep down that every life you touch, every breakthrough you catalyze, every transformation you help facilitate exists because you transmuted what they tried to use against you. Your healing will heal others. Your breakthrough will unlock doors for people you've never met. And that is the kind of victory no one can interfere with. Your story is about to give permission to people who thought they were alone in their struggle. People who believed their pain was too specific, too hidden, too misunderstood to ever be seen. And the one who tried to silence that story is going to have to live with the truth that they almost stopped all of that impact from ever happening. Almost. They didn't prevent it. They delayed it. They complicated it. They tried to exhaust you, but prevention was never an option, because what is meant for you will always find you. What you're called to do will get done. Who you're meant to become is inevitable. The only real question was whether their interference would stop you or refine you, and you chose refinement. You chose to let pressure turn you into diamonds instead of dust. You chose to let resistance build strength instead of resentment. You chose to turn obstacles into stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. And that choice is why you're about to win in ways they can't even process. They're still playing checkers while you've moved to chess. They're still fighting yesterday's battles while you've already secured tomorrow's victory. They're still trying to damage your reputation while you're quietly building a legacy. They're obsessed with how they look while you're focused on who you're becoming. The levels are different. The frequencies are different. The game is different. And they're going to realize too late that they never had a chance of stopping you, because they were never even in the same arena. They thought they were competitors, but they were background noise. They thought they were obstacles, but they were training equipment. They thought they were your enemy, but they were confirmation that you were on the right path. Because easy paths don't lead to extraordinary destinations. Comfortable journeys don't create legendary stories. Small challenges don't produce unstoppable warriors. You needed resistance to become who you were meant to be, and they provided it unknowingly, unwillingly, but perfectly. Now, even the family members who funded this nightmare will have to face what they participated in. They'll have to sit with the reality that they enabled harm against an innocent person, that they trusted a story without questioning it, that they confused manipulation for truth. Some of them will try to make it right. They'll reach out, apologize, offer help, try to repair damage that can't truly be undone. And you'll have to decide what access, if any, they get to the new life you're building. Others will double down. They'll justify their actions, rewrite their role, protect their ego instead of their integrity. And through this, you'll see clearly who has real character and who only has good presentation. You'll learn who can admit when they're wrong and who will lie to themselves to feel safe. And now 2 paths are opening in front of you, 2 timelines, 2 futures, and you can only walk one. One path offers familiarity, safety, the people you know, a life that's comfortable and contained. There is love there. There is support there. But there are limits. There are 2 limits on growth, impact, and scale. It's not wrong. It's just smaller than who you are. The other path is expansion, unknown territory, new people who operate at levels you once only imagined, opportunities that scare you as much as they excite you, a version of yourself you've only seen in quiet moments and private dreams. This is the path of recognition, impact, legacy, the life where you become everything you were always meant to be. But it comes with a cost. And that cost is leaving behind the version of your life that feels safe. This is the part no one romanticizes, the part that doesn't fit neatly into motivational quotes. There are people on the first path that you genuinely love, people who stood by you when you had nothing, people who helped you survive seasons that nearly broke you. And choosing the second path means accepting a truth that hurts. Not everyone who loves you is meant to go where you're going. Not because they're bad, not because they failed you, but because their journey is different. Their capacity is different. Their assignment is different. And you're going to be asked to choose between the person who wants to come with you but would unknowingly hold you back, and the future that requires you to release the past. Between relationships that feel safe and opportunities that feel destined. Between comfort and calling. This choice will ache. It will feel like abandonment. It will feel selfish. It will feel like you're choosing success over family, purpose over loyalty. And some people will reinforce that guilt intentionally or not. But hear this clearly. Choosing yourself is not selfish. Choosing your destiny is not betrayal. Choosing to become who you were meant to be is not abandonment. It's obedience to something larger than you, to a calling that existed before you ever understood it, to a purpose that will impact lives you haven't even met yet. And when you step through that door, understand this too. It won't be easy. This opportunity will change your life, but it demands real work, the kind of relentless preparation that separates dreamers from doers. Your schedule will be rewritten. The balance you once had will disappear. Free time will evaporate. You'll have to show up tired, practice when no one is watching, prepare when no one is clapping. The opportunity opens the door, but discipline is what keeps it open. When people look at success, they see the finished product, the recognition, the platforms, the accolades, the lifestyle. What they don't see are the hours of repetition, the private failures, the moments of doubt, the sacrifices that never make it into the story. This is where most people quit. They thought the hard part was getting the chance. They didn't realize that earning the moment requires a level of commitment most people aren't willing to give. But you are different. You've already proven that. You've already survived what should have ended you. You've already rebuilt yourself from nothing. And by the time the fallout is unfolding, by the time others are scrambling to control narratives, manage exposure, and salvage reputations, you'll be somewhere else entirely, mentally and physically. You'll be working alongside people who never doubted you, building with those who recognized your value immediately, creating in environments where your truth never had to be defended. The person with real power, the one who recognized your frequency early, will bring you into their world. And their network will be filled with people who operate at a level where petty sabotage doesn't even register. People focused on creation, expansion, and impact, people who vet carefully and move intentionally. If you're in the room, your legitimacy is already established. You'll have conversations that stretch your mind, collaborations that demand more of you, opportunities that require you to rise just to meet them. And somewhere in the middle of all that expansion, someone will mention the news, the exposure, the lies unraveling, the consequences finally landing. And you'll feel something unexpected. Not satisfaction, not revenge, distance. As if it all happened to a different version of you in a different lifetime. Because the person who was attacked, manipulated, and sabotaged no longer exists. That version of you was transformed in the fire, and what emerged is someone they could never touch. You've become someone else entirely now, someone they can't touch, someone they can't wound, and someone they can't even reach. You're stepping into rooms you once only imagined from a distance, collaborating with people you used to admire quietly, creating work that moves lives on a scale you never thought possible. Your voice carries weight now. Your story heals. Your presence shifts rooms. And it all feels natural, like you've finally arrived where you were always meant to stand. Those years of feeling misplaced, overlooked, like you never quite fit anywhere, they make sense now. You were never meant to fit into small spaces. You were meant to create new ones, build new tables, set new standards. Your healing journey becomes a roadmap. Your breakthrough becomes evidence. Your story becomes permission for others to pursue their own transformation without apology or shame. The resources arrive. The inheritance that was withheld is released. The opportunities that were blocked begin to flow, not because you fought for them, but because restoration is taking place. The universe is returning what was stolen. Justice always comes, even when it arrives wearing a different face than you expected. By the time the one who worked against you is facing consequences, you're already so deep into your new life that their downfall barely registers. You may hear about it. You may see it in passing. But it doesn't bring the satisfaction you once imagined, because you realize your success was never about proving them wrong, it was about proving yourself right. About fulfilling a purpose that existed long before they ever tried to interfere. When you look back, you'll see that everything had to happen exactly as it did. The betrayals positioned you. The attacks prepared you. The obstacles refined you. The lies created the contrast that made the truth about you shine even brighter. Every single thing meant to destroy you actually built you into someone indestructible. And you use all of it. You use your story to guide others. You use your platform to amplify voices that were silenced. You use your resources to open doors for people who remind you of who you once were. You use your power to dismantle the very systems that tried to keep you powerless. You're not just breaking generational curses for yourself, you're breaking them for everyone who comes after you. You're not just healing your own wounds, you're healing the wounds of everyone who shares your story. You're not just winning your own battles, you're winning battles for people who don't even know they're fighting yet. Your destiny doesn't require permission. Your purpose doesn't need approval. Your calling doesn't wait for anyone's blessing. You were chosen before you were born, assigned before your first breath, destined for this before anyone ever formed an opinion about whether you deserved it. And what's meant for you will always find you. No matter the detours, no matter the battles, no matter how many times you rise after being knocked down, the news about you will hit them hard. The lies will be exposed. The mask will slip. Everyone will see the truth. But by then, you'll be so committed to your mission, so aligned with your purpose, so immersed in the life you were meant to live that their collapse will feel like a footnote in your story because your story was never about them. It was always about your transformation, your ascension, your calling, the lives you're meant to touch, the systems you're meant to change, the legacy you're meant to leave. They were just the resistance that made you stronger, the opposition that sharpened you, and the darkness that made your light necessary. And now that light is about to shine so brightly that everyone will see it, everyone will feel it, everyone will know that something extraordinary is happening, that a chosen one is rising fully and finally into their power. That chosen one is you. And what's coming next is going to be extraordinary.